Hello everyone, welcome back to the fourth part of this particular series where we are designing this particular website landing page for the bookshelf page that we have designed in the first part in Figma. Okay, so let me just show you the design that we had designed before. So this was the design that we have done, and we had tried to replicate this in the last video, and we ended up making this particular website. Okay, so it's looking perfectly fine. Only thing that is remaining is to now start developing the mobile version. Okay, so if you see right now, if I scale down, scale to the mobile viewport, then there it does not look proper. So we have to do a lot of changes. So let's look into the design that we have created for the mobile view. So you can see this is the design that we have created. Okay, so this is the nav bar that is converted into this particular format, and this is the look of the page, the final look of our page. Okay, so let's begin. So first of all, now if you look at the entire thing, everything, all the graphics that we needed are already there. Only thing we need is this particular hamburger icon. Okay, so let's select that, go to design and click on export, and let's export this as an SVG, and let us say it is mdi menu.svg. Okay, so we have that icon now set. Now let's come back over here, and now let's look into the nav bar, and let's add a image. Okay, and let's assign that image to mdi menu, and let's save and see what do we get. Okay, so I've saved this. Let's refresh it, and we get something like this. Okay, so it looks perfectly fine. Now only thing we have to do is, first of all, let's give this a class of, let's say, or menu btn. Okay, so let's call it menu btn. Okay, so we have done this. Now let's go to style, and let's go to the navbar part. So this is the section of the navbar. Here we can do is, we have to in the desktop view, we don't want to see this hamburger menu. Okay, so we will just do display none. Okay, so once we do display none, this will not be visible in the desktop view. Okay, so right now, whichever size I select, I have not used any responsive design. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now come down, and okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start using media queries, and using with the help of media queries, I'm going to set uh, a breakpoint for the mobile phones. Okay, so if you look at it over here, let me just open the dev toolbox. Okay, and now if I try to scale it, on the top right here you can see the pixels are mentioned. Okay, the height and width of the element. Okay, so let's now keep on reducing the size, and at some point you can see the menu that we have, it comes very close to the logo, right? So I don't want that. And after a while you can see the bottom nav bar starts appearing. Sorry, bottom scroll bar starts appearing. Okay, so that is the place when we don't want uh, this nav items to be displayed. Okay, and we should shift to the mobile version. Okay, So we can take around, let's say, um, let's take we can obviously take some standard pixels also, but since our design is working perfectly till here, we can work for any design that is beyond this particular area. Okay, so let's go for, let's say, 750 pixels. Okay, so after 750 pixels, everything is going to work as per the new media queries that we are going to design. Okay, use media queries to decide when the responsive design should kick in. Okay, so for that we will be using media. Okay, media, and then here there will be a round bracket and a curly bracket. Okay, so the round bracket is where the condition you're going to put. So if that particular condition is true, then this particular block, whatever style is you write inside this block, that will be applied. Okay, so this particular condition depends on how you're designing your website. Okay, so for example, now there is a common trend that you design the website mobile first and then make it ready for the desktop. Okay, so in that case, you will be designing this particular view first. Okay, the mobile view first. So in the top, so whatever we have done it in the reverse order. So we have designed it for the desktop first, and then for the mobile we are going to do the media query. Okay, but if you are doing mobile first, then whatever you see on top will be these designs will be for the mobile, and using the media query we will be setting up the design for the desktops and other tablets, etc. Okay, so now we will do the second type, like mobile first website, in some other video, but this over here we are trying to do desktop first. Okay, so we have already made the desktop styles. Now we are going to make the style, we are going to do the changes for the mobile version of the same site. Okay, so one thing to remember is whenever you do first desktop and then mobile, you can use any conditions over here. Like for example, let me show you uh, what these conditions mean. Okay, so let's say I set the width, okay, to 750 pixels. Okay, so I have added the width to 750 pixels. So, and let's take the menu. Where is the menu? Yeah, menu button, right? So take this style and paste it over here, and instead of hiding it, I want to show it. Okay, so let's do block. Okay, so now what happens is at this particular condition, this particular style will be executed. Okay, so let's drag this and see at what point does that style kick in. Okay, so you can see at some point, you can see exactly at 750 pixels that menu comes up. Okay, and if you go lower than that, the menu disappears. If you go above that, then also the menu disappears. So the menu comes only when the width is exactly equal to 750 pixels. Okay, but that is not how we create a responsive design, right? So uh, we want to create a cutoff. From there, lower down that pixels, a new style should apply. Okay, so for that, if you are designing desktop first, then you use max width over here. Okay, and if you are designing mobile first, that means the top entire code is going to be mobile, and then the media query is going to be for the desktop. Then you can do is you can just use min width over here. Okay, so based on which type of design you are doing, whether it is desktop first or mobile first, you have to change this to min or max. Okay, so right now we are dealing with desktop first. So here we are going to use max width equal to 750 pixels. Okay, so once we do that, now let's save it. And now if we scale up, you can see that menu is disappearing, and when you go down after certain point, that menu reappears. Okay, so you can see it, the menu appears. Now the next thing that I should do is I should hide the this particular nav bar, because I don't want the nav bar to show. So what is that? So nav.ul, I don't want this nav.ul to show. Okay, so let's add another style, nav ul, and we will do display none. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to do is, when this particular width reaches and below that, the menu button will show, but the nav bar will disappear. Okay, so let's try to do that. And when we go to a certain stage, you can see your menu button appears and your nav bar goes away. Okay, so we have solved our first problem. Okay, next, if you look at the menu button, I immediately see that I don't have a proper pointer attached. So I can just go over here for any of the elements. If you want the mouse cursor to change, then you can simply go to that particular element and do cursor pointer. Okay, so if you do this, now save it, and now if you come over here, you can see the mouse icon changes. Okay, similarly if you come over here in the button also, so you can see the button also right now does not have that pointer, right? So let's go to that button, primary button, right? And let's say cursor pointer and save it. And now you can see when we go over the button, we get a nice little pointer. Okay, so once that is done, now our next part is, now what we have done right now is to hide this particular nav.ul. Okay, but that is not exactly what we want to do. We actually want to style it slightly different. Okay, so but just because we are doing it right now like this, so that's why I have added that. But I hide that particular element, but actually we are going to change this to make it look like this. Okay, so we will go to that part soon, but let's see if anything else is required. So I think rest of the things are proper. You can look at this. Yeah, we have to change the style of the button. Okay, so the style of the button is also not proper. Okay, and the logo and the top padding is also too much for the mobile view. Okay, so all these things we will have to change. So let's come down and let's go up and see that this is the place we were adding the margin, right? So let's change that margin now. So header, so header margin top of, let's say 20 pixels. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so save it and you see it goes a little up. I'm still not happy with this, so let's make it 15 pixels. I think this is fine. Okay, and another thing I observe is, I think the padding for the left and right is also a bit too much. So I will take this particular line of code, and I don't want so much of padding. I will keep the padding same, 15 pixels. Okay, and now this looks a little better. I am still not happy. So yeah, I think this is fine. Okay, so I have created next I have one more thing left. This still it looks a bit odd. That is because the size of the bookshelf font is too big. So let's go to our header.logo. You can see this was the style applied, and we can come down and we can change the we are not going to change the font face, but we can change the font size. Okay, so let's change the font size to, let's say, 22 pixels, and let's say 32 pixels line height. I think this is a bit too small, so let's do 26. Actually, I think we should have taken it from here. Okay, so let's go to inspect and see what is the line height. So font size is 20 pixels and line height of 27 pixels. Okay, so we can use that. So 27 pixels and 20 pixels. Okay, so let's check. So this is what we have. Uh, yeah, I think it is a bit too small. So I think 26 was perfect. Okay, so this is what my font looks like. Let me push this up a little. Yeah, so now we are ready. So now my logo is set, my logo size is reduced, my menu bar is coming. Now I want to change the size of the button. Okay, so let's copy the style of the primary button. Okay, so primary button, let's come down and let's see. So first of all, I will have to reduce the font size. Okay, so let's reduce the font size to around 20 pixels. Okay, so immediately my button size reduces. Let's go a little bit uh, smaller. Let's do 18 pixels. Yeah, this is better, and I think nothing else is required to be done. Okay, so that is done. Now you will see that my footer is coming a little up. Okay, that is because if you remember, we have done a calculation of the body, right? So that calculation of the body was based on this particular margin, right? But that has changed now. So that is now changed because our entire thing is now having a different margin. Okay, so let's inspect that and find out what is the size of our header. Okay, so the size of our header is, let's come down. So you can see the height of our header is 34 pixels from here, and plus a margin of 15 pixels on top. Okay, so that means 34 plus 15, so that comes to around 49 pixels. So we need 49 pixels gap, right? So instead of 40 pixels, now the body will have only the margin to be handled, so we will take only 20. Okay, I forgot what was the size of the header. So 15 pixels is the margin, so I will add only 15 pixels over here. Okay, so I will subtract that, and now I have to come down, and this is the height of the main div. So where we have actually taken care of two things: the height of the footer, which is not yet changed. Let's inspect again. So now we have to set the main content. So this particular div, so we this particular value was set according to the desktop view. So we have to now redo this with the help for the responsive design, for that is for the mobile view. So let's copy the entire thing and remove everything except the min height. Okay, now we have to calculate this. So let's calculate. So we have to add the header, what is the size of the header, and what is the size of the footer. We have to subtract that from 100 viewport height, right? So let's find out. So this is the header, right? So the header is 34 pixels height plus 15 pixels margin, right? So 34 plus 15, and the footer is 22 plus 5 plus 5, that means 32, right? So 32 plus the header is 34, 32 plus 34 plus a size of 15, right? So let's calculate it. So 32 plus 34 plus 16, sorry, it is 15. Okay, so that comes to around 81 pixels. So this value that we have, this should be for mobile, it should be uh, 81 pixels. Okay, so now I set this, save it, and now if I refresh, you can see now everything goes perfectly. Okay, so the height is perfectly adjusted. Now our page design is done as far as this particular design is concerned. Okay, still the menu is left, so that we will do next. So let's first check out if everything is working. You can see the responsive design kicks in at this particular stage. Okay, and then everything looks normal, and after this stage, uh, the button becomes small and the logo becomes small and the menu is hidden. Okay, so once this much is done, now it's time for us to handle the menu part. Okay, so right now if I click on this, nothing actually happens. Okay, so what I want is I want to show the menu. So right now we have hidden the menu, so let's bring it down. Okay, and instead of, let's come over here, and we can see I want to see this particular element. Okay, so I want to see this, but in a different format. Okay, so let's do that. So let's come over here, let's say display block. Okay, so I want to see it, and once I see it, I want to set position. I want to set the position as fixed. um, Wait a minute, I want the position to be absolute, sorry. Okay, so I want the position to be absolute, right? And now I want uh, the top to be, let's just see where this particular thing goes. Okay, so top 0 pixels and um left 0 pixels. Okay, so now you can see it comes over here. Okay, we will adjust it in a while, but the position we will see, but before that I just want to set everything properly. Okay, so the next thing, let me come to the so you can see this entire UL, I want it to be to have a white color. Okay, so let's do a background color of white. Okay, so now it becomes something like this. Next I want, let me think, now I want the width to be 100 viewport width. Okay, so whatever is the width of the uh, whatever width is available, it will take the entire width. Then I want, now it would be the right time to set the position, right? So top, I don't want top, I want bottom to be uh, sorry, where am I? Okay, so right now it is working like this, but so I have not set anything as relative. Okay, so you can see in this particular case I am putting the UL as absolute, so uh, it will align itself based on the next immediate parent who is relative. Okay, so right now I have not set any parent as relative, so it is directly going to the body, right? So the body tag, according to the body tag, it is getting it is setting itself, aligning itself, but I want it to be aligned based on the nav element. Okay, so I want it to be aligned based on the nav or the header, anything will do, right? So let's take nav. Okay, so I think nav would be better. So let's take nav. So let's come over here and say nav and position relative. Once I do that, now you can see it comes over here. Okay, and sorry, it should be header, not nav. Okay, so header, and it comes over here, position relative, and I get the header part. And oh, I'm sorry, this should be top. Okay, so I got this working. Okay, so I've had set the position as relative to this, and I've changed the top to 0 pixels, right? So now it is aligning somewhere over here. Okay, now let me just take it little down just to show you what exactly is happening. Okay, so I want this particular element to be just below this particular nav element. Okay, so what I want is, let me just inspect. So this is the nav element. Okay, so I want this to be somewhere around here. Okay, so you can see the height of the nav. Let me take the header first. Okay, so the height of the header is around 34 pixels, right? So I want it to come down 34 pixels, right? So at least it should come down by 34 pixels. Then let's say we want to come down by 34 pixels. Okay, so I have come down by 34 pixels. Now the next thing is, there should be a triangle over here, right? Which we will add a little later. But for that triangle, let's suppose, let's see what was the size of the triangle we have added. So the height was around 26 pixels. Okay, so we will stick to that. Okay, so okay, so we have to add a 26 pixels to this, so that makes this I think 60 pixels. Okay, sorry, 50 pixels. I will make this 50 pixels. Okay, and this particular place we will be adding a triangle. Okay, so once that is taken care of, now we will add the triangle in a while, but before that, let's style the internal elements now. Okay, so for the internal elements, the elements are nav dot li. Okay, so it is li. Okay, so I have nav.li. Now for the nav.li, let us go to Figma and see what was the exact design, right? So we can first design these, right? So we can select them, and the background that we have set for each and every li is something like this, right? So let's set the background, and as soon as I set that, I should get something like this, right? Now you can see that it is not perfectly working right now, right? So let's see what changes we will have to do. Okay, so let's check out. So there is a UL, and in the UL we have a padding applied, right? So for the for inside the li, so for the ul itself I have a padding applied, right? So padding of 40 is applied, so we have to first remove that. Okay, so let's go to ul and let's do padding. Okay, so change the padding, And let's do 15 pixel padding for the time being and see. So you can see I have a nice little padding all around. Next, I want every li to have a little bit of margin all around, right? So let's say margin, and top and bottom I need around say 10 pixel, and left and right I don't want any margin, so 0 pixel. So you can see this is what I have got. Okay, so I think this is fine. Now the only thing left is to decide the size of text font size of these particular elements, right? So for that I will just duplicate this and go to the anchor tag. So there is nav ul li and anchor tag, and for the anchor tag let's go to Figma and find out what is the style applied. So we will copy all these things from here and paste into the anchor tag, save it and come over here, and I think we are almost there. Only the padding is required inside. So before that let's clean out a little bit of the things. Okay, and let's add a padding. So padding top and bottom of around 15 pixels, and left and right I think we don't need any padding left and right, so 0 pixels is fine. Oh sorry, I should have added the padding inside LIs only. Okay, so now we have this padding, and I want a little padding in the on this side. Okay, so that means on the left side, right? So I can come, uh, I will have to, yeah, I can give it over here, or better let's give 15 pixel all the way. So this is better, right? So I have got my navbar all set. Now the only thing left is this home has a different style right now. Okay, so there is a border applied, so I don't want that. So let's try to remove it. So duplicate it, and if you remember we had a li.active class assigned, right? For that we had a border bottom, right? So I can simply do border none. So that will remove that particular line, yellow line, because in our case if you refer, for active we have a separate style itself. Okay, so we have like something like this. Okay, so we will have to do that. So let's do that. So we have to change the color. So the color of the text is going to be the white color that we are using. Okay, so this was the color. Okay, so I can replace this. So the color is set. So obviously now because of that we cannot see the button properly, because we now have to set the background also. So let's set that now. So I will remove this, and for the active class we have to set the background, and the background we know we will take the background of our body. Okay, and take that and replace all these things with this. Okay, so now the active li active class will have this background, and the text that is inside, that is the anchor tag, will have no border and a color of somewhat white. Okay, so now if I save it, you can see this is what we get. Okay, so we have a nice little menu coming up. Okay, now the next thing is we want um, that triangle over here. Okay, so now let us think how we can get that triangle. Okay, so we have there are many ways of doing this. We could have simply added an element to the index HTML. So uh, let's try something new. Okay, so we will use pseudo elements. Okay, so nav ul, and for pseudo elements you have to use this. Okay, so for the zero class, I'm going to set the content as an empty string. Okay, and then let's give the content a width of 30 pixels and a height of 30 pixels. Now, just to see what is exactly uh, to exactly see this particular element that we are creating, I would like to select some color. Let's select a violet color and save it. And obviously right now you cannot see it. Okay, so now you can see after setting the width and height, if we save it, still we cannot see the image because we have to set the position also. Okay, so let's set the position to absolute, and let's set the top and bottom values. Okay, so let's see, after setting the position as absolute, now you can see we can start seeing that box. Okay, and now we have to position it properly. Right now, before positioning it, we have to have that triangle effect, right? So for having that triangular effect, what we can do is use the border to create that triangle. Okay, so for that we can set the border bottom to let's set the border bottom to, let's say, 20 pixels. Okay, so based on what is the size of your triangle that you want, you can set this size, the width of your border. So that is 20 pixels solid, and the color will be the color you are going to use. So for the time being, I'm going to use violet, then we will change it to white. Okay, so if we try that, and you can see this is what I get now. Now obviously I don't want a color in this particular case. Let me just first add all the different borders. Okay, so border top, border bottom, bottom left, and border right. Okay, so I have added all the borders. Now the box is visible, so now I don't need this width and height, so I can remove that. Okay, and I do not even need this background color, because since there is no width and height, the background color does not make any sense. So now you can see whatever you see over here, it's only because of the borders. Okay, so all this is, the square is formed because of borders. Okay, so now just to show you how this is going to make a triangle, just let me change this to different colors. Okay, so let me change this to a blue color, then a green color, and let's say a red color. Okay, so I have taken three different colors, save it. You can see actually it is creating four different triangles. Okay, so this is the way you can create triangles. So now your only task will be to select which triangle do you want. Okay, and keep the color of that particular triangle, and all others you should make it as transparent. Okay, so let me just show you. So for example, I want this particular triangle, that is this bottom one. Okay, so you can see this is my border bottom. I want this all the other triangles I do not want. So what I will do is I will just set it as transparent. Okay, so set the border color as transparent. So I will copy this and paste it everywhere else, right? So those borders that I don't want, and if I save it, you can see I get a nice little triangle over here, right? So other borders are not visible, right? So now our next task will be to use this position absolute to position it properly. Okay, so I want it exactly over at this particular place so that it is visible, right? So let's see, we can do a top to be let's first try 0 pixels. Okay, so you can sorry, because it is 20 pixels, right? So I will try minus 20 pixels. Okay, so you can see exactly I come over here, and if I do now it is touching over here, right? So now I have to cover this much more area, that is again 20 pixels, because the border size is 20 pixels. So I will take 40 pixels more, and you can see it comes exactly at this particular place. Okay, now the next thing that I want to do is change the location in the horizontal axis. So for that I will just take right, and from right I want around 10 pixels, so that brings it uh, almost there. I think it is uh, this padding was around 15 pixels, I think, right? So 15 will do, I think. Sorry, 15 was a bit too much. So 12 pixels, yeah. So 12 pixels does it. And now the only thing left for us to do is to change this color back to white. Okay. So once we do that, I have my menu ready. Okay. So I have a triangle with this particular thing, and you can see it is almost exactly same as what we had over here. Okay, and now in the next part, uh, okay, no, I have to make this hidden by default. Okay, so that thing is still remaining. So let's, so now our navbar is visible, right? Now the next thing to do is we have to add a special class to this particular UL, so that when we apply that class, only at that time this particular element will be visible. Okay, so let's try that. So let's add a class, uh, let's call it show menu. So this is the class that I want to target. Okay, and inside the styles.css, you can see here we had by default we wanted to if you remember before, we had hidden the element, right? So hidden the menu, right? So we want to do that. So nav ul, and I can do display none. Okay, so when I do that, it will not take effect because we are doing display none over here, and then we are coming down, and if you see, you are doing display block again over here, right? So this is taking preference, because whenever you write something again down, then the whatever comes later takes effect, right? So this is taking effect. But what I want to do is I don't want these styles to be applied unless that particular class is there. Okay, so this show menu class should be there, then only this should be applied. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this style and apply it to everywhere. Okay, so show menu, so to all the ULs I am going to add this particular. Okay, so I'm going to add this. So now you can see there is not much difference, but if I come over here and remove this class, you can see that menu is gone. Okay, and if I add the class again, that menu comes back. Okay, so it's that simple. So just by doing this, I have my adding and removing of this particular uh, menu. Okay, so now by default I will not have this class. Okay, so by default you can see there is no menu. Now I'm going to use JavaScript to turn on and off the uh, menu. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. Okay, so let's open up our Explorer and add a folder called JS, and here we can add main.js. Okay, so let's add that file and include that in your HTML to the at the bottom. So script, and you can add js main.js. Okay, so once I do that, now let's first check out whether is it really working or not. So console dot log hi. Okay, so let's see in the inspect element. Yes, I'm getting high, so everything is working. So now let's begin. So this is going to be very simple, how you can have this particular thing. So if you see, I have two things. First of all, I have this menu button, so I have to add an event listener to this. So let's do that. So let menu button is equal to document dot get element. Sorry, I have to do query selector and dot menu button. Okay, so I am going to select this, then I'm going to add an event listener to this. Okay, so event listener will get triggered only when certain event happens, and the type of event will depend on what exactly do you want. Okay, so I want the click event to happen. Okay, so whenever I click on this particular code should run. Okay, so I will be attaching the click event handle to this, and when that event happens, that is whenever the user clicks on it, I should have a callback which is actually going to handle that particular event. Okay, and this particular event has a variable called a parameter called e, which is basically the event. Okay, so now the next thing that I want to do is going to be very simple. Let's select the nav items. Okay, so let nav menu is equal to document query selector. Okay, and I'm going to select the nav ul element. Okay, so I'm going to select this, and let's do nav. Okay, I will click nav menu dot class list dot toggle. Okay, so toggle, what toggle does is, uh, let's suppose I give a class. Okay, and if you remember, the class name what I've given is show menu, right? So if I give this class over here, so what it does is it checks the nav.ul. If that particular show menu is already there, then that will be removed. If it is not there, then it will be added. Okay, so that is what this particular thing does. Just save it, and now when you click it, you can see the this particular thing comes up. Okay, so now the only problem here is you cannot close this particular button right now. So what you can do is you can add another event listener. Okay, so let's add document document dot let's select if you click on the main content, you can close the button. Okay, let's suppose that is the thing that you want to do, right? So you can do that. That is one option. Or you can even have a close button over here. In that way you can get that. So let's do a simple thing for the time being, that when we click outside it, this menu should close. Okay, so let's do this. Let um, let main content is equal to document dot query selector, and the selector is the main tag. Okay, so if you remember, we have put everything inside this main tag. So main tag, and so the main content, let's add an event listener. Again, this is going to be exactly the same code. Okay, so exactly the same code. And let's for the time being, let's yeah, it's fine. So click event listener, then add, then I can just do remove. Okay, so I'm going to remove this particular class if I click outside. Okay, let's save it. And if I click on it, it opens. If I click over here, it closes. Okay, so it's that simple. So anywhere outside, if I click, it closes. So if you click on the main content, it closes, right? But it would have been better if this particular thing can be converted into a close button, and that close button, when clicked, this will close the what do you say, the menu. Okay, so that would have been better. So that we can try. It will be very simple. You can just replace uh, you know replace this particular element by a cross, and then add an event listener to that particular cross, and when that happens, you just have to run this particular code. Okay, so I think that is clear. And we have completed this part where we have successfully designed a Figma page, page using Figma, and then converted it into HTML and CSS. Now in the next part, I would like to animate these things like we have done in the Figma design. Okay, so that will be the last part of this particular video. So see you till then. Have a nice day.